Ligature mark. Still wiring. There's too much of it. We need to remove the belt so we can get to the ligature mark.
You've got just the right tool for that. The chain cutters. The hanged man lets out a joyous little bubble of rot from his nose.
Always good to think ahead. Now, we need to cut the belt to see the ligature mark below. Carefully, with as much precision as you can.
See, my pig is gonna fuck his head off.
No, he ain't. Your pig's a boring fuck.
The belt is equally tight around the whole circumference of his neck, swelling over the edges like white bread rising from the east.
You are? You're Kuno's pig?
Concentrate on the belt, not on who is whose pig. There is no pig. There are only the chain cutters and the belt. You jam the cutters right under the knot. That seems like a smart idea. Yeah, somewhere there. Already they're buried deep in the man's flesh. Then you rotate them to get a better hold. Then a really, really bad smell is coming from there now. A really, really bad smell is coming from there. The lieutenant looks by.
Yeah, fuck him! Fuck that faggot! Corpse fucking time!
Told you my pig was hardcore.
I should have a go first. I think I have a strategy.
He sinks the cutters into the knot, preparing to perform the cuts, with his elbow to his knee for precision. Snap! The knot is slashed. Another cut and the belt falls apart like a flower bouquet, revealing the dead man's neck and the dark red ligature mark around it.
Here. The rope rises to a point, leaving a gap in the ligature mark. The suspension point is in the back of the neck, on the nape. Hemorrhaging is observed on the skin, above and below the ligature mark. The mark is well pronounced, consistent with a drop from 1 or 1.5 meters. Chest is intact, normal contour. Abdomen is protuberant, pelvis intact, genitalia...
No! Let's get out and see!
I fucking knew it!
This is clearly what they've been waiting for, ever since the autopsy began. The lieutenant is trying to make it as boring as possible.
Genitalia is male and unremarkable. No evidence of injury. Back is symmetrical and intact. Upper and lower extremities are intact, but asymmetrical. There are combat injuries on the right hand, thigh, and hip. In addition, I see smaller, residual scars, too numerous to count, covering about 30% of his skin.
From wounds sustained over 2, maybe more decades, dispersal and accumulation indicates long and active combat duty.
Last item, hands.
His flesh is cold, icy.
Pleased to meet you. Where are you from and what's your name? I'm only fucking with you. I know where you're from. From Cappadocia. And your name is Il Corbo. What can I do you for, Il Corbo de Cappadocia? Nothing does. This was pleasurable. I sincerely thank you for touching my hand. We should do this more often. Be close like this, I mean.
Hands are clean. No sign of injury from struggling. Ooh. That's all for the external.
Well done. What next?
Central nervous system. I have nothing. Do you have anything on this man's central nervous system?
Of course, there is a moral to be drawn from it. A moral to this story.
What would that be?
The dead man looks, too, with barely contained excitement to hear the moral of his story.
I think that may well be the moral of every story, officer. Good. Musculoskeletal. Purge fluid is coming from the mouth. Not injury-related. Eyes and tongue protuberant. Hyoid bone. Let's see.
With his eyes almost closed, the lieutenant puts his hand on the dead man's throat and begins to massage it, gently. A rotting smell erupts from the mouth. Purge fluid runs down his lips, black and viscous.
Yeah, jack that fucker off!
The hyoid bone is fractured. The rest of the musculoskeletal system is intact. Unremarkable. Respiratory system. Oral cavity shows no lesions. The victim has received dental implants, possibly after a combat wound. Mouth swollen. Hemorrhaging present in mucosa of the lips and mouth.
From here, it looks as though the clown-faced man is screaming. The tendons of his jaw are torn apart. Hyoid ripped from the force of the lieutenant's hands. No scream, no sigh of relief rises from the darkness inside. It's humid there. Sickly sweet air, unlike anything living. You feel like you're about to throw up again, straight in that mouth of his. It's hard. Once more, you taste stomach acid in the back of your throat. A contraction. Your throat pumps a little something from your stomach and into your mouth. You're forced to swallow, just to keep looking. Inside, you see darkness. Just a mess of meat and darkness.
There are ancient mysteries down there, Kobo. Ask me later.
Hemorrhaging present in mucus. Hepatobiliary, Na. Same for toxicology and serology, Na. Cardiovascular. The body exhibits heavy lividity. Blood has gathered in the hands, feet, and neck. Gastrointestinal.
This will do.
Digested semi-solid food in stomach. Voila. What's next on the list? Let's see. We have bite marks, contusions on the head and chest, and a ligature mark encircling the neck. You'll need 3 fields. Leave a 4th one too. Head, chest, and scalp bite mark injuries. Predation by birds has caused damage to the body. Odontologist does not need to be consulted. And your opinion, officer? Agreed. Next injury? So, the scalp bleeds from a post-mortem head injury, a stone. The injury does not have the rim of an early inflammatory response. The perpetrator on the scene has confessed to causing it post-mortem.
At maximum velocity, fucko!
Has confessed to causing it at maximum velocity.
Coagulated blood sticks to his scalp and chest, where the countless stones have hit the dead man. Beneath, the description of injury. 2 boxes.
Right. Next. Oh, so we inflicted them? Okay, so there's an incision on the thorax from a chain cutter. I wouldn't mention it. Better not to muddy the waters. Injuries? Nothing, just in case. A dark red abraded ligature mark encircling the neck, with a gap on the nape measuring, let's say, 7 centimeters. The hyoid bone is fractured, the cervical column intact. I see hemorrhaging on the skin, above and below the ligature mark. Depth of the mark, 1 centimeter. No signs of clawing on the neck.
Below the note, 2 customary boxes wait to be ticked. The man's head jerks to the side. The ring around his neck is visible. He is deep in thought, eyes fixed on the bright red ring around the dead man's neck.
Why do you say that? Okay. Why don't you think it was fatal? Most everything else on the victim says otherwise. But I agree. I was ready to establish a cause of death here, officer. But now I think we should leave it empty. At least for the time being. Let's wrap this up. I pronounce this field autopsy over. It was an irregular field autopsy. We did not establish cause of death, which is supposed to be the goal of an autopsy. But, personally, I do not see this as a parameter for success. We were thorough with the list of injuries too. We described them all in detail. What is there to say? Given the circumstances, it was a professional field autopsy. I need a copy of that autopsy form. Then I will drive him to Faubourg for processing.
He's thinking, did I miss something? I'm sure we didn't get everything. There's always something. You run your hands over the victim's cold body, his limbs. The corpse seems to yawn contentedly, as though it's glad you've run out of steam.
Do you think we missed something?
You can't shake the feeling that there are more secrets concealed in the flesh before you.
Okay, well, we are in livor mortis here. He is disintegrating. We need to refrigerate the body if we want to conduct another examination, and we need to do it fast. If you want for this task to slowly become impossible, then yes. Otherwise, no. He's been hanging out far too long already. We need to ice him.
Not to mention the damage that would be dealt to the force's reputation by the court.
It would have to be industrial in size. Let's start by asking Gart at the Whirling in Rags and the Fritz store down at the gates. If they don't know, but only if all else fails.
Fuck are you looking at, Beano, man? You want a piece of the Kuno? Wanna get fucked?
Only if all else fails. This is one task we cannot sideline. With every hour, whatever we are looking for will become hard.
An inconspicuous pile of the roofing material, Eternite. Because it's nice and orderly. Well, rhythmic pattern calms your mind. Mammals like this stuff. No, there's more to this. You get this strange feeling. Hard to say. It's gone now. The dented yellow mailbox greets you with its graffito and bullet holes in the front. The box seems happy.
Hello, sir. Step right in. The store is open. Are you interested in a new and exciting book? It's a bookstore, sir. We sell books, postcards, and some board games. It's called Crime, Romance, and Biographies of Famous People.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Hold your horses, little girl.
That is a book. They have stories inside them. It's like someone told you a story in a really long letter. A postcard is a small cardboard picture. You can write a few words on the other side and send it to your friend or beloved.
She is unfazed by your questions. She would consider it impolite to point out any perceived weirdness.
My pleasure. Anything else you'd like to know? Okay, sir. I'll try to answer any questions you have. I hope they're about books. A fridge? You mean like the ice bear fridge? Man, that's scary.
Ice bear fridge?
Yes, like a bear, but white. There's a fridge below the building in the basement, with red glowing eyes. I went back there once, behind the bookstore. Mum doesn't want me to go there anymore. Not that I want to. It was pretty scary. Yes. That's a problem. The only way in is through the bookstore, but my mum is pretty strict about not letting anyone in. But I don't know, you're a policeman. Maybe you can convince her somehow. Anyway. My name is Annette, sir. My mum, her name is Plaisance. She owns the store. She's inside minding the register or organising the stock. Feel free to step in and browse our wares. I'm signalling that the store is open. Otherwise people might not know. They'd miss out on the crime, romance and biographies of famous people.
A sudden gush of wind turns the pages of the books on the counters. She covers her face, smiling. But she's cold.
Thank you, sir. I'm happy to help Mum out with the store. I do my studies at home at the moment. I have to help Mum keep this place running. School? Well, mine is a big yellow building on Boogie Street, and the people there run it. They say it's a charity. Mum says it's necessary to do both because it builds character. Mum says a proper worker is dutiful. That's how you get ahead in life. You succeed. Mum says it's peachy. She was a little afraid at first. There's talk about this house being cursed.
Behind her, the window has been boarded up. You sense the boards creaking, twisting for a second, and some kind of doubt in her tense shoulders.
Cursed in the way that makes them say that no business has ever really thrived here, sir. That they all go... Exactly, but we've been doing fine so far.
We can go into the bookstore and ask about the case, but I don't see much more to look into here.
Yes, please do look at our wares inside. The postcards and board games you asked about are also there, sir.
It does not manifest itself in any way. It does not exist. I liked it better when we were talking about whether it's appropriate to stand out in the freezing weather. No such thing.
Anything else you wanted to talk about, sir? Maybe I can tell you about some of our books instead.
see a set of tire tracks in the brown slush that covers the plaza mosaic. The tire tracks were left here by an unknown event that took place some days ago. It's a message, written in the language of burnt rubber. Some of that rubber stuck to the tiles right in front of the whirling in rags. This is point A. The driver started there, and then accelerated straight into the fence, left a hole big enough for the Franco-Nigerian cavalry, according to the cafeteria manager. Why that pang of guilt again? The hole in this fence doesn't look that huge. The driver proceeded to back out of the yard, barely stopping before hitting the adjacent building. Before heading south, must have been in a hurry.
You are correct. This is a rather motor carriage friendly city.
Somehow that makes you feel scared.
I'm not sure. There are plenty of traffic accidents waiting to happen in Martinez. With the jam right here on the roundabout, I would keep them separate.
You could follow the track south. There seems to be a canal there. See where they went, if you find the time. The man is decomposing visibly now. Every hour, he looks less like a creature and more like a pile of intestines. The lieutenant adjusts his glasses and takes a deep breath. Your arm reaches out and your eyes close, as if by their own volition. It's dark all around. You feel cold, dead flesh through the latex glove. It's right under the palm of your hand. His face, his cheeks, his nose, his fat, swollen lips. Like a rubber spider, your gloved hand crawls on his features. Everything is silent, all around. They are swollen shut. You need to really push to get in. Only the little one fits. The flesh changes shape as you bore in, searching for something in the cartilage.
The fuck is he doing?
The thing you're looking for, it's not there. Crawl out, spider. The oral cavity is cold and moist. A ball-like tongue attaches itself to the base of the mouth, lolling around like a scallop. You're on the right track. The tongue moves freely in the cavity. The mucus of the mouth is slippery, fragile, even through the latex. From the soft meat, teeth are budding. Hard pearls of bone in the gums and in the back of the mouth. Can you feel it? You're so close. Rip his jaws open now. A vision of black and dark red death, pried open by your hands and studded with teeth. Looks like he's laughing. Death fumes rising from his throat. And there, in the back of his mouth, above the bell of the uvula, right in the soft palate, you see a hole, barely visible to the human eye. It is swollen shut, almost vanished. No larger than 0.4 centimeters in radius, the edges appear darkened. An abrasion collar. This is what we're after.
Abrasion collar.
Kuno is silent. A black trickle of liquid runs into his throat from the wound. Your index fits right in there. A tight tunnel of flesh opens up. Tissue damage. Wide enough for 2 fingers. As you push both in, you reach through his mouth, right into his brainstem.
The fuck is happening?
Ah, shit, see?
Yes, that's what this part is called. The basal ganglia feels clumpy. What entered here has torn apart his reptilian complex. This man will never sleep again, never wake. Your yellow fingers slide into the remains of the limbic system. There is no resistance. It's gelatinous. The slug-like structures are damaged too. The tearing extends deep into both hemispheres. The undulations of the limbic system have ended. All is quiet. The lieutenant answers with the sound of his pen on paper.
Fucking cavity, see?
Quivering with awe. Your fingers are all the way in now, reaching toward the inside of his skull. The cavity goes further, but the entry wound isn't wide enough for the rest of your hand to follow. Your fingers reach toward his skull. His cerebral cortex feels like jelly, cold jelly. Strange fluid streams down your wrist as you push deeper until you feel it on the tip of your finger. Ice-cold serrated metal. Its edges cut right through the latex and into your finger.
Can you get to it?
There's a tiny crack, a protrusion in the cranium, right in the back of his head. Your finger must be pointing straight at it, from the inside. The object that is in there stops just short of the skull, in the encephalus, knocking this tiny fracture into the cranium.
We have the makings of a very small exit wound here.
Forget about the fucking exit wound, Beano. The pig is wearing him like a fuck puppet.
Her voice is absolutely sizzling with excitement. You pick the object between your index and middle finger. It feels sharp, like metal. With your face twisting from pain and concentration, all you need to do is just... The inside of the head feels cold and smooth, like a glove. Sweat dripping down your brow. Careful not to lose the prize between your fingers. With a plop, your hand emerges from the mouth. The garden glove is covered in blood right up to the wrist. Between your fingers, a small flower, a blossom made of lead.
Fucking beautiful!
A bullet.
The bullet falls in the bag, leaving a smattering of blood on the plastic. He raises the bag under his eyes and says,
A non-calibre. Rifled. Some kind of brittle alloy. Fractured on impact. Of course, you deserve it. We need to add an item to the injury list. Injury number 4. Oval entry wound with an abrasion color. Soft palate, back of mouth. High velocity. Temporary cavity in brain tissue. Small exit wound on the occiput. How does that sound? Opinion, fatal injury. And one last thing. We can now fill in injury number 3. Ligament mark. Opinion, non-fatal. Post-mortem. Treatment.
He's proposing the bullet was the real cause of death, and the hanging an attempt to conceal this fact.
Yes, and the belt around his neck, the hanging, even dragging him to the yard. All of it was done after this man was already dead. Dead. I have had my doubts since you showed me the tracks. Why did they carry him over? Why not march him, I thought. There was no satisfying explanation. There have been other signs too, small things. We were right not to assign hanging as cause of death, as the perpetrators expected we would. No such luck for them.
We didn't fall for it, he thinks. There's pride in there. There is, of course, the very real possibility he was both shot and hanged.
Yes, we should take a closer look at it. I am certain it has more to tell us.
This little thing could reveal much about the weapon that shot it.
We put him in a bag and carry him to the holding pen of my kinema. The body bag should contain the odor for the duration of the transport. I would drive him to processing, but it's too late to do that today. I'll do it first thing tomorrow. No problem. One more thing. This was really good work, detective.
The word lingers in the air of the yard. As far away dogs are barking, further yet the sound of motor traffic. Detective. The bullet is safely sealed away in a plastic bag bearing the RCM stamp. Kim has filled out the label on the bag with the item number, case number, and date and location the bullet was found. Beside his orderly handwriting, the bullet looks especially sad, like a tiny, shriveled head of cauliflower.
What? Well, if I was the bullet, which I'm not, I would say, find the weapon that shot me. If we find who owns it, we will have likely found who used it, possibly to kill our victim. In conclusion, the more we know about this bullet of yours, the better.
Whoa, what have we here? A bridge with loose nails and rot-infested wood that creaks in the wind. A construction code violation if there ever was one.
True, they never cleaned up the war damage. The rest of Revachol looks better, though. The bridge is fine enough. Locals use it all the time, after all. It's nothing to worry about. Shall we?
you see a young man on a balcony nursing a cigarette. His eyes have been following you for a while.
Not looking for any trouble, officer. There's no trouble. I'm just speaking in a lowered voice. I don't want to be seen talking to the gendarmerie, if that's okay. I just want to finish my cigarette.
Don't let him go. This could be your witness. The balcony has a great view of the whole thing.
Is it really that important? All right, but make it quick. Once I finish this cigarette, I have to run. I can tell that you finally got him down. Thank you. It was quite a disturbing sight, even by Martinet's standards.
What were you doing last Sunday?
Oh. You already asked me that, didn't you?
Wait, is someone else investigating the lynching?
No, not you. Some more muscular type.
And when did you speak to this more muscular gentleman?
Last week? I don't know. Look.
He's an actor declaiming a soliloquy. See how you hang on his every word?
You didn't answer the question. What were you doing last Sunday?
I had a friend over. It was my Sunday friend.
Makes sense. Friends are nice on Sunday. You don't have to work. You can just spend time with pals, watching rugby and drinking beer. He doesn't reply, gesturing no with his cigarette. Under the dull and darkening sky, the neighboring windows stand silent.
My name? My name is Martin Martinez.
That's definitely not his real name.
No, of course not. Could you please lower your voice?
Ask him again.
And I really need to finish this cigarette.
But he hasn't left yet.
No. We won't. Now, if you'll excuse me, I really need to get going.
Time to bring out your secret charm. Tears and begging. Show him your emotional side. Throw yourself before his very feet like a dog.
No, for God's sake, I don't want you to cry. Listen, I really have to go. Good luck with the investigation.
He's gone. No point in running. Tenements like these often have multiple exits. If he doesn't want to talk to us, then he'll know how to hide himself. He could be a witness. Him or his Sunday friend. Either way, we need to look into that muscular type who's asking about our case. There has to be a way of getting inside the building. Once we've found a way in, we can ask around for his apartment.
A stone, like any other, lying in a whirl of sleet and mud. Maybe there's something under it. There's a key beneath it, rusty from the dirt.
This must be for the front door. Pity it doesn't have the apartment number on it. This building has hundreds of apartments. We'll just have to go in and see.
This door has been closed with a padlock. A chalk-drawn number on the board says, number 11. It's a solid lump of metal, but the shackle is deeply corroded. A solid pair of chain cutters would make short work of it.
You seem committed to it, so go on.
The shackle snaps like a twig, and the lock falls to the floor with a little thud. It should be possible to enter now.
After you, detective.
A plaster cast bust depicts a middle-aged man with impressive sideburns. The name on the plinth reads Kraz Mazov. Kraz Mazov, nom de guerre, was an economist and a theoretical historian. He was a leading figure in the Grad side of the turn-of-the-century revolution, where he headed the 9-day government. Mazov is considered the father of scientific communism, Mazovian thought, or Mazovianism.
The White Star, the photos on the wall. I think we have broken into the apartment of a young communard. How fitting.
You hear someone walking around inside, rearranging the furniture. The number on the panel says 10. The walking stops abruptly, but no one comes to the door. You can feel tension on the other side. Sounded like a woman's shoes. A poor communard from the looks of it. The room is barely bigger than a closet.
Do I have to open the door? Do you have a warrant? I'm not obligated to open the door if you don't have a warrant.
Let's go. We don't have a reason to get inside that apartment.
It's generally easier to do things if you have literally any reason. What happened here? Put your emotions aside. Try to focus on abstract, impersonal things. But this reeks of sadness. It will still be accessible through the apartment next to it. That one didn't have a door. Sadly, nothing of great value remains here. Indeed.
Give me a moment. The cold never does any good for my bronchitis. I'm fine. Fine. Don't you worry about me.
You're still worried. It's very worrying.
Now, what do you want from me, policeman?
She's the cleaning lady. She knows the floor plan and the residence.
Yes, yes. I know who you mean. The scrawny boy who's always smoking like the devil, right?
Somewhere in the building, a child starts crying. You hear a radio tuned to a talk show and someone taking a shower.
What's he in trouble for? Talk?
What was so funny about that?
He lives upstairs in room 28. Go to the balcony. It's one of those doors there. He's usually home in the evening.
Thank you. We should go check out his apartment on the balcony. See if he's home.
Ask away, policeman. The hell am I supposed to know? Another nut job, I assume. Some lunatic lost his mind. All kinds of morons pass through these halls.
With how small these rooms are, wouldn't you want to break the...
People come and go. I don't keep an eye on everyone.
They probably just moved or died, hopefully somewhere else.
No one lives there. It's been empty for months. Impossible. I would know if someone had moved in there. Maybe it's those countercultural people again, breaking into a house like it's a public space. You're a policeman. Be good and take a look, will you? Great. Young people. They're worse than rats. You know, always littering the hallways with trinkets and empty beer cans. Oh, that one is a scientist, a future scholar. I think he studies astrology at the community college. Education's good. I always tell them to study. Something to do with all those stars around his door. He asked me to leave his drawings up on the wall. The symbol of what now? Economy? Why should anyone care about economy?
She mumbles some kind of a response, then hacks something into her handkerchief. You hear someone walking around inside.
Excuse me? Of course not.
There's no sweet talking your way in there. Be official. You have plenty of reason to enter.
Oh, come on.
Well, that was easy.
That was smart.
Satisfied? My name is Marielle Charpentier, and I'm an agent with Martinez Realty Associates. I am not breaking in, as I have every right to be here. The keys, see?
Her voice is really cheerful, despite her obviously hating you.
Do you want to see my ID as well? You can't legally ask for it, but why not? Want to see my residence permit too?
It feels flimsy in hand, with the words Revachol Zone of Control written under a nondescript municipal logo. There's a picture of her with shorter hair inside, along with all her personal details.
Thank you. Do you have any questions? I need to be back in Midtown in an hour. I need to get it ready for the next lease, but as you can see, the previous tenant completely trashed the place. Ha! Sounds like you've spent too much time undercover in some rock band.
It's not a compliment.
It was some kind of a moribund old man who used to be a business owner. You'd think they'd make rent. But that was months ago. Anyway, was there anything you wanted, or is that it? I'm in a hurry. Oh, that's another huge mess. The former tenant owes us 3 months of rent. 3. We closed the apartment and planned on auctioning off the valuables, but... And again, I have no idea how stupid mistakes like this can even happen. But Ron, when he came to close the door, didn't close the neighboring door. And there's a hole in the wall. A hole in the wall. Can you believe it? And then the tenant ran off with his stuff. He's gone. The money's gone. Just like that.
The sum must have been puny. Oh, it irks her. The incompetence.
These apartments are perfectly fine. They have gorgeous architecture, a million-real view of the bay, good ventilation, neighbors, life, spark, and they are affordable. I'll tell you, Martinez has a future. In a few years, it's going to blossom with artists and creatives and those radio computer wizards.
It's as if they're real wizards, able to resurrect dead real estate and breathe life into bank accounts.
Don't ask me what happened with the wall. I have no idea how we're going to find the time or resources to fix it. Both apartments are now unrentable. Both. Of course.
Give me a moment. I see. I hope some good people are finally going to move in. This place needs them. Oh, I do like wizards, and people like that in general. They have a lot to tell us about our fates.
She means clairvoyance. Ruination has come. The broken arches betray the once grand history of this building. It towered over the harbor until it happened. A great force from the northeast fired into the city. Heavy artillery shelled the coastline. Fired from the water, a straight shot into Revachol. The tenement acted as a defensive wall against the worst of the shelling until it was destroyed, and they had a direct firing line. The waves of the Martinez Inlet rolled over the fallen remains of the building. The dark waters obscured the better part of the remains. What didn't fall into the ocean was used as scrap. What wasn't used as scrap was thrown into the ocean. Those arches acted as support for something greater than what you see now. Only 3 stories stand where 9 to 12 once did. Restoration has failed. What the shelling took out was never rebuilt. A fleet, the combined armies of Occident and Grad, with Mesk volunteers, a 5-nation army, hundreds of vessels. They massed airships further down in the Bay of Revachol. The artillery was so powerful. The ships not only required gyroscopic stabilization, they were anchored into the ocean floor as well. Many are still there to this day. If you squint, you can just barely see the shadow on the water, far in the northeast. Cannons still ready to placate Revachol. Coalition warship Archer can shoot 50 shells a minute on 20 co-aligned archers. They will reach the city in 58 seconds.
The coalition. But that was a long time ago. I think we should move on. It's chilly up here.
He does not like talking politics of this kind.
The streets will flow red once more, a great torrent rushing down Rue de Esperance. You wait and see.
The streets will not flow red with anything. Who are you?
I'm Cindy the fucking Skull. What else do you want to know? Date of birth, blood type, the last time I was tested for Hep C. Had a battery of tests just last week. I'm practically a patchwork of interesting critters. Kinda like a man-o'-war.
A brush, an artist. The red splatter is urban expressionism. That smell coming from her paint bucket. It's not paint, it's heavy fuel oil.
Can't you tell? I'm painting a beautiful mural, an aereo graffitio visible from low orbit. I haven't really started it yet. I'm waiting for the right words. Have you ever tried your hand at graffitio? When faced with a blank wall, most people write unimaginative stuff, like pigs go home and Mona was here. We rarely see pigs round here, though. Just union cads. And my name's not Mona, so...
She wants it to be something true and total.
This place is severely lacking in havoc. Not even the occasional trash can fire to break up the tedium. I thought I'd mix it up, you know, summon the forces of crime and social chaos with a wall-sized invitation. Yeah? Thanks. I'm sure the inspiration will come to me now that I have an official RCM stamp of approval.
She means the opposite. You've lessened her desire to deface the building. The lieutenant furrows his brow at another one of your eccentricisms. Hatred, disgust, it's difficult to tell which of the two is more present in her girlish features. The woman on the boat does not notice her staring.
That is on her. Someone's got to keep an eye on her.
Ozon is an archipelago 2 days' travel away from Rivershore. Its moneyed residents, used to posh restaurants and upscale boutiques, rarely have reason to visit Martinez.
Probably the Wild Pines rep. We should talk to her. She's a professional negotiator, though. I have the feeling she will be very cooperative while telling us nothing. You should take the lead. Ask her unexpected questions, you know? Do your thing. Don't be afraid to get a bit wacky. Throwing her off is our best bet.
Good idea, piggies. Run along now. Fuck her shit up good. Impound that boat while you're at it. I'd like to watch her swim back to Ozon. I ain't no snitch, Pigstein. Go forth and forage in someone else's shit. No shortage of squealers in these parts.
Actually, there is a shortage of people who talk to us in a normal, calm, informative manner.
We weren't put on this earth to make your life pleasant, fucko.
Red-dyed heavy fuel oil, intended for exclusive use in government vehicles, to be precise.
What did you think I was using? Aquarels? Sucked it out of a cop's fuel tank myself. Back in Jamrock.
She really did it. She's proud of it too.
Oh, what? You'll push me off this ledge and pry the bucket from my dead hands? Watch your back, Ungulate. You've got...
That isn't just a five-pointed star. It's an inverted white pentagram cradled in a wreath of antlers. The iconography of communism, in other words.
I'll keep my armistice handy, detective.
He doesn't actually reach for his gun. The Star and Antlers was developed in the 6th decade of the last century and quickly adopted by Mazov and the communards during the revolution. Even today, half a century after, the Star and Antlers retains the ability to evoke hope, disappointment, and fear in equal measure. Nothing at all yet. Right now, it's just meaningless shapes on a wall. This door is made of metal and appears to be reinforced. Someone here really values their security. Number 28. This is where the cleaning lady said the smoker on the balcony lives.
Let's see if anyone's home. Knock on the door.
No one answers.
Looks like the young man we are looking for isn't home. I think our best chance to catch him is in the evening. We should return tomorrow after we have finished with our day's work. How about 9 p.m.? Sound good? Tomorrow, 9 p.m., right here. Apartment number 28. Good, let's go.
No one answers.
We should return tomorrow.
This must be it. The basement door is weather-worn. The cop... You try to be as silent as you can. It takes a bit of rattling of the handle to loosen the bolt. Finally, the door unlocks with a small clack. Thoughts race through your head. The sound of the key turning still echoes in the yard. Hopefully no one heard. Only curiosity could account for stepping over that threshold. Maybe there's treasure in there. A white alligator, a fountain of quicksilver. There might be important information in the apartment. I mean, there might. A row of mugs sits on the shelf. Each one depicts a human figure. A dark-skinned woman grinning amidst mysterious symbols. A broad-shouldered man shoveling potatoes, and others. A little ring. Though cheerful, the images on the ceramic make you vaguely uncomfortable. There's something disdainful in the way the curves and lines of the bodies were drawn. The images betray a lack of interest in human beings. They are merely unflattering caricatures. The owner of these mugs doesn't like people of other ethnicities very much. This person is unhappy. The lieutenant picks up one of the mugs, then puts it back down with a look of disdain.
I'm beginning to feel better about breaking into this man's apartment.
Yes, your broken mug friend would feel very much at home here. The same humor, the same mocking lines.
There's the missing tin soldier. Whoever lives here might have used the Whirling's container to dump his trash. And now they've drawn the ire of the Union. The plot thickens, as they say.
An interesting little clue. Let's see where this goes. Clues have a way of magically connecting to other clues down the road. Perhaps you should break into apartments more often.
Who knows? I'm not expecting too much from this clothes in the trash lead either way. It might turn out to be some random local matter, but still, a nice coincidence.
You could ask Everard who this person is once you're done here. This is the flag of Revachol, the suzerainty. This isn't just one sun, but there are little suns dancing around the big sun. This is the sevenfold sun miracle. It's an optical atmospheric anomaly the first settlers saw. Happens in cold weather. 6 small suns around the big one. This complex halo phenomena is how old Revachol got its flag. It is but one of the many strange optic atmospheric phenomenon of this wondrous archipelago. You're sure you once saw sundogs in your youth, and blue flares. The lieutenant does not bow to the flag. It accepts your salute with quiet dignity. It is not my flag, he thinks. My flag is the signal blue of the zone of control. It's clear you like the hard stuff, Brota. Lower intestine? The term is metabolic and circulatory system. Fascism, Brota. Many things, but it's mostly about trusting your gut. Who does your gut tell you is the source of Revachol's problems? Yes, them, but also women. Women, men of war. You don't like them. They're insane. Their idiocy needs to be scrubbed off this world with rubbing alcohol. Woo men need to go back to the fucking kitchen. That's what fascism boils down to. The rest is also important. But the main thing is that woo men need to know their place. Stomach truth. You're having a stomach truth. Because you've said the hard things that others won't say, the good things, you've said them many times. Okay, yes, let's call it that. Good thinking. That sounds much better. Traditionalism. You like the sound of that. You're going to keep your vooz, right? Keep your vooz, Brota. For the nation, smart. Best not to mention the woo men too often. That's why you're the head and I am the stomach. Of course you are, Bruta. Of course.
Trying to sneak up on me? Come to slit my throat in my sleep?
Logic error. She is not sleeping right now.
Pig's come to take me out. Trying to snuff me out. Don't get fucking clever with me, pig. You think you're so clever.
This is a wall on the side of an apartment building. Because this is no ordinary wall, it is sublime. Look at it. The shadows, the colors. All the other walls on all the other houses must make a pilgrimage in adoration of this, the uncontested pinnacle of wallcraft, color peeled from the very face of God. O Wallfather. Huh? He sounds tired of it all. Cindy the Skull has all the necessary materials. Talk to her.
Sure. If you must.
The luxury of fine things. Just look at those black monk straps. After spending an entire day hustling, who's to say that you didn't deserve a pair of ridiculously expensive shoes on your tired feet? Beautiful things give you a rush. It's power, crafting your style, draping your flesh in silk and leather, deciding how to present yourself to the world. Remember, when they come to take it away from you, you worked for those shoes. Whether you like it or not, wearing these shoes has made you more liberal, ultra-liberal. They're either a gateway drug or a booster pack to get you deeper into free market ideology. Wow, you work hard. Oh, yes, you hustle. You're a provider. It's tough out there, but you keep it real and provide. Oh, yeah, like a horse, a workhorse, for hard work. Look at yourself. You're a human pedometer. You must have walked 200,000 steps down cracked asphalt, mosaic, sand, and linoleum after you re-emerged. That is the sign of a hustler who never gives up. The world is harsh and people are evil. You didn't make it that way. And you won't. That's just what it's like. Life and death. But you got gills on your side, baby. Got those black papers with the faces of the innocents on them. You bring in the Franco-Negros and the Solars. It ain't easy, but you do it. Day in and day out. You didn't make the rules, but you won't lose. You're a cop and a sprinter and a money printer. Sure. And has it been easy? Is life easy? Have you not gone into cardiac arrest? Are you not about to have an anxiety attack or shoot yourself in the mouth? But you still hustle 24/7, ride or die. Now, ask yourself, are you rich? Get out of here. You're a pauper. You work harder than anyone. Almost rode yourself to the grave, and you're still practically a hobo. Why is that? Look, the immigrants are cool. The immigrants play cool music. Everyone likes them, especially the women. Don't hate on the immigrants. They've got nothing to do with you living under a boat. Because of the taxes, G-Man's got his jam-covered sticky fingers in your pocket, stealing from you every time you buy, sell, walk, talk, fart, so much as sneeze. Aren't taxes almost non-existent in the Gossamer state that is Revachol? You and I both, but they got those indirect modes of taxation. Sales tax, excise duty, extraction tax. This tax that doesn't even have a name. Plus, there's the stuff people in other countries pay for that makes them ask for more money from you here. The Gossamer state's a myth. In total, the coalition government is taking 98% of all your money. Here you go, hustler. Fight the righteous fight. Free the people. Keep it real. Keep it street. Keep foaming at the mouth furiously on the tax issue. striking woman leans against the cabin top of her sailing boat, smiling as you approach. Her green raincoat glistens with droplets. A silk scarf is tied around her throat.
Good evening, officers. I'm Joyce. Joyce L. Messier. I represent the board of Wild Pines, the owners of the harbour. You gentlemen must be from the RCM. Beaton, my maiden name. I'm glad to see you here. I was dispatched to handle a strike, not a lynching. Anything I can do to assist the RCM in this matter, I will, gladly.
That is good to hear, madame. My colleague will take the lead on this interview. I should let you know that he is recovering from an unusual medical episode. Very unusual. But I can assure you of his ultimate competency.
There's a trace of irony in his voice. Mischief, even. This is a tactic.
How interesting. I wish you a swift recovery. In the meanwhile, you have my full cooperation, and the full cooperation of the Wild Pines group.
It's hard to get a read on her precise disposition, but she appears helpful.
Why, yes I am. The boat? No. It is called Cordelati 19 because that's the type of sloop it is.
The word "it" feels strange. Such a beautiful boat deserves a proper name.
Okay. How about Cordelati 19? Why? Because it was manufactured in Revachol East by a company called Cordelati, and its hull is 19 paces long.
She makes a point of being unromantic about it.
Why Dolores? Well, it means nothing to me. I think I'll stick with the factory name. But thank you for the suggestion. It's a pleasure craft. A 19-pacer. It also happens to be rated for Category 1 racing. Though these days I mainly use it for business. My sloop? I like it a lot. It's the eel's hips, baby.
I'm enjoying this part of the interview. It has so little to do with the murder we're investigating.
I really do, the lieutenant thinks. Is she thrown off yet? He's looking at the woman, assessing her.
Of course there are. We're on an archipelago. How else are you supposed to get around? Yes, we are. We are on Le Caillou. We are. And the city of Revachol is on the island of Le Caillou. I haven't seen anyone else drive a souped-up Capri Kenema motor carriage either.
Actually, that motor carriage has been specially issued to serve as a patrol and pursuit vehicle. It's for crossing long distances in the greater Revachol industrial harbor. It's not a toy.
Neither is this. A toy, I mean. It's a machine for crossing long distance.
You need to make this lady admit she's only riding around on this boat because she's rich. You have the guns and the ammo. Take this Clausen fiend down.
Officer, I assure you I'm a highly qualified pleasure craft operator.
The crowns of her teeth are porcelain, white as the boat's hull as she smiles. Her nonchalance might be related to something called the Wayfarer Act, a law that says she doesn't need a license. Sly Fox, you're not aggressive enough to harass her further on this.
Good. What we do. I'm afraid I don't speak for Wild Pines as a whole. It's a giant undertaking.
There was a touch of discomfort there. She wants to merely represent.
The Pines' core competency is logistics. Container shipping, freight, that sort of thing. See those airships there, blinking? Those are the shipping side of things. And that is the terminal. Another subdivision deals with energy, oil and gas exploration, offshore platforms.
The Wild Pines Group is one of the original Revacholian Indo-tribes. Companies awarded royal monopolies by the king, the suzerain himself, centuries ago. The king is long gone, but several of the Indo-tribes remain. Saint-Baptiste, Elysium, an unknown entity known as Brightest Star.
Why, thank you.
She nods.
Everything. Right up to, but not including, trade secrets. First, you'd have to repeal the Emergencies Act of Trade in Aliments that gives me the right to silence. It's quite the octopus. Good luck is only kept in place by the vested interests of half the civilized world, including your own.
What the ma'am means is that the Emergencies Act and the RCM both get their authority from the coalition government.
You'd be shooting yourself in the foot, in other words.
But I am derailing us. You wanted to know about the strike. I believe the official title is Senior Labor Negotiator. In practice, I'm a grocery clerk. I relay the union's demands to Wild Pines and return with Wild Pines' counteroffer.
And how are the talks going?
They're not. That's the problem. The union stopped all negotiations a week ago, after that awful lynching took place. Now they won't even let me into the harbor. There's a 2-meter-20 racist behemoth blocking the gates. Let's say I was not making the kind of progress I'd hoped for when I first arrived.
And when did you first arrive?
I arrived 3 weeks ago. Yes, in the middle of February. The bay was still partially frozen then. I prefer to do these things on site, like the RCM.
But the strike began in December.
I wasn't the original negotiator here. I took over after Mr. Gaumont hit a wall with Mr. Clare, the union boss. Mr. Clare refused to speak with Gaumont despite concessions he'd granted the union in prior negotiations.
This isn't the first time the union has gone on strike.
Heavens no. There have been 2 prior strikes. Both times the union won significant concessions, including overtime pay and a medical plan. This time their demands are more, I guess you could say, aggressive.
Ludicrous even. It's meant.
Mr. Clare told him to... how did he put it? Fuck off, midget. Gaumont is short of stature, you see. Yes. Keep in mind, this is a negotiator Mr. Clare has worked with before, and who was more than fair with him and the union.
Sounds like usual aggressive posturing.
There are leaflets everywhere, and banners. What did they say again? Oh yes. Every worker, a member of the board.
Most of the workers probably don't know what that means.
In its defense, another said, demand democracy. Pretty tame stuff compared to every worker, a member of the board. Fortunately, they explained it. Every time the Wild Pines Group makes a decision about anything, it needs the signature of each of the 2,200 workers in its Martinez terminal. Just so you understand, this is but one of 22 terminals owned by Wild Pines. Essentially, not only are they kings of the company, they are also kings of the 72,000 employees of Wild Pines Group. That may well be. It's not up to me to decide who is king, but as negotiations go, it's not a swell start. I'm not sure. Naturally, I assume that was just their opening position, a hard-nosed tactic with a side of mockery. But there's been no follow-up, just the same nonsensical slogan repeated over and over again. And now, people are getting lynched, I hear. Behind the whirling in rags. A disastrous situation if there ever was one.
Excuse me, from whom did you hear about this lynching?
I first heard it from the bowyer at the gates. The one whose very name advertises his aversion to work. I think he said it was, "Call me mañana." The scabs? You mean the huddled masses of Jamrock, come to plead for work where the Union refuses to? If they were organized by Wild Pines or its affiliates, then it would be a company secret. I could not share it with you. Not right now, at least.
It's implied she's open to discussing this matter with you at a later occasion.
Everard Clare is a man of the utmost integrity. If you can say one thing about him, it's that he always puts the interests of the workers first. Of course not. Everard is fantastically corrupt. I imagine he has a thick, viscous goo where you and I have blood. He is the most corrupt individual I have ever seen, and I deal with men like him for a living. If there is anyone more venal, more irredeemably nepotistic, then it's his twin brother, Edgar. Yes, Edgar looks exactly like his brother, except for that lazy eye. He also talks exactly like Everard does. And when one's term as foreman is up, the other takes over. It's how they circumvent the term limits, you see, with a funny little switcheroo. While in office, they've embezzled God knows how much of their workers' dues. The Débardeurs Union was once a perfectly normal institution. 20 years ago, anyway. It must not have been easy to establish under the Emergency Act, but they did it. I can respect that. Organized labor at its best, as they say. Then something happened in the local chapter elections. The brothers Clare came and transformed it into a... how do you say?
A mob. The Débardeurs are a crime syndicate. Sad as it may be, we are forced to cooperate with them.
Refreshingly honest, officer. The company has tried appeasing in the past, but I'm afraid our concessions have only emboldened Everard and his brother. And your opinion, Detective, if I may ask? I'm a curious and talkative person, you see. Would you say the Débardeurs Union is... Thank you for being candid. Sadly, Wild Pines have cooperated with what amounts to a crime syndicate for 2 decades. However much you feed the wolf always hungers. I'm glad you asked. There was a woman, the previous forewoman of the Union. She disappeared.
Disappeared?
Yes. On the last day of the local chapter elections, her daughter phoned in and said she wasn't running anymore, or coming to work. Ever. End of story. Downright haunting, if you ask me. The Wild Pines suspected foul play, but what could they do? It was a union matter. The point of the presentation is, these kinds of things happen around the Clares. Watch out when you're dealing with him.
Thank you for your concern, ma'am. We'll be just fine.
Of course. How else can I help? That's the man who was killed. I'm afraid this is a discussion for once we've cleared the lynching question. better not tie the fourth day to the Bat's Day on this. I hope there is something else I can help you with.
She wants to answer the question. Protocol keeps her from it.
Quite a few things, I'm afraid. The information I'm to share with you includes sensitive trade secrets. For the sake of my employer, I have to ask for your names and badge numbers.
Of course, ma'am. We should have introduced ourselves. And this is my colleague from Precinct 41, Detective Dubois. I'm afraid Harry doesn't have his badge at the moment.
Oh, and what happened to yours, Detective?
Awkwardness washes over the conversation. The woman doesn't like this turn of events.
I see. So, are you saying you lost your badge during the course of this episode? Oh dear. I do believe you, naive as that may sound. I simply can't imagine what you gain by faking such a condition.
As I said, ma'am, his technique may be very unconventional, but he is an officer of the RCM.
Of course, I sympathize, but I'm afraid I simply can't share anything more until I've seen that badge.
Hang on. She's a professional negotiator. She should be open to some sort of mutually beneficial arrangement. Feelings will guide the way.
I assure you, it is no small matter for me either. We all share the responsibility for disarming this situation. I hope you have a badge for me as soon as possible.
She's silent. The wind flaps the sail above her.
Officer. You know, I don't mean to sound cold, but if you want something, you have to give something back. More than just guilt.
You're doing it. Despite your own best efforts, you're still getting it. Somehow.
I'll be frank with you. If I'm going to break protocol, I need to be able to justify it to my superiors. They're going to want to see something tangible. The Union is conducting drug trade out of the harbor. It's an open secret in Martinez. Surely it must not come as a complete surprise to the RCM either. Or you can find your badge, which honestly seems like a lost cause.
Detective, a word in private before we continue. We should think about calling it a day, maybe. The nights are still miserably cold this time of year. We can pick up where we left off tomorrow morning. Yes? Yes? What do you want to know? Good. Yes? What do you want to know? What's there to say? It's just stupidity. The cop kind. Our precincts can't decide if Martinez is part of Jamrock or the Industrial Harbor. Yours or mine, as if we somehow own parts of the city. Typical street gang mentality. So we've let the Union make a mockery of law enforcement here. And now it's come to its natural conclusion. Well, sort of. It's less a matter of who gets to police Martinez than who has to. It's an orphan district, in other words. I think the dispatch desk just told both our stations about the hanging. There was quite the brouhaha at the 57th, I can tell you that. Time to settle it, they said. Cop off. But I assure you, I am not their finest or toughest, with 102 cases solved. What I am is least interested in a pissing competition. Yes, it's a wholly pointless matter. Forget I ever mentioned it.
He's actually glad it's addressed now. Because you're the best qualified? No, that doesn't seem right. If you're so well qualified, why can't you remember why you were sent? This is the door to the room you redecorated.
Just a moment. You had some questions earlier, I believe. And besides, we should discuss our progress on the investigation. Let's go out to the balcony.
The air outside is brisk. The lieutenant is silent for a moment. He listens to the traffic hum. Then...
Where shall we begin? We should talk about the investigation, first and foremost. But I also remember you wanting to discuss the RCM? I have a cigarette every night when I go over my notes. It's something of a ritual.
Oh man, he looks so devastatingly cool with that cigarette.
I apologize, but I only brought one with me. I have exactly one cigarette every night while going over my notes. You mean this? This isn't cool. It's an unnecessary trial of will, and unhealthy.
Keeping the habit within the parameters he's given himself takes a lot of focus. It would be easier to simply quit.
Yes, it's been a long and eventful day. Well, we inspected the victim's body, so that's good. It was not easily approachable in that state, but we did it. Our inspection could have been more thorough, as it always can, but we have some leads we can follow up on. In addition, we got that body down from the tree, and we performed a field autopsy on the victim. We found some things we can really work with. Moreover, you found that the hanged man wasn't just hanged, he was also shot. That was some excellent detective work. And you managed to locate and pull out the bullet, so we can get ballistics, make up the gun. All this is invaluable. Unfortunately, the body is still decomposing in the yard. We should take care of that as soon as possible. We also performed a thorough search of the crime scene. That's great. Now for the interviews. I'm sure. Well, we conducted an interview with our player. He wasn't particularly forthcoming with useful information.
He's not saying much on the matter because he thinks you could have gotten more out of Everard.
Claire also helped you, how should I say, remember your name? That's a relief. Moving on. We talked to Joyce, Monsieur, but didn't get any information from her. I have a feeling Joyce knows how dangerous the situation really is. We have to get her to talk to us.
If Kim is emphasizing something this much, it really must be important.
Above all, though, today was exhausting. What's with all the running? You run a lot. Is that a standard Precinct 41 practice? It's impressive, to say the least. For a man your age, especially. Those are some stylish shoes too, by the way. Those loafers. Must be hard to run indoors like you do. They're quite limited, actually. The power officers of the Ravachol Citizens Militia exercise most frequently is imposing fines of up to 1,000 real for offenses, in accordance with an interdepartmental schedule. Yes, although indirectly, as citizens can always request records from their local station. Officers of the RCM have been known to take bribes of less than the prescribed fine amount. It undermines trust in the RCM. We can arrest people, of course, but rather than bringing someone in directly, it's preferable to serve a station call slip. It prevents confusion and overcrowding. We are permitted to use whatever force we deem necessary, even lethal. That's an improbability, perhaps even impossibility. Precinct 41 is known for a higher-than-average rate of police violence.
He's not judging you. He's respectfully acknowledging the difficulty of working in your precinct.
Yes, the international community's mission in Ravachol, and the moral intern more broadly. The RCM was formed by the coalition government to restore order in the international zone after the revolution. So we did. Now we attempt to maintain that order. No more, no less. Or perhaps it is better to say we were allowed to form. It's a point of contention whether the citizens of Ravachol or the coalition government founded the RCM. It's probably more honest, yes. Either way, the moral intern leases us the right to keep the peace in this city, and they will take it away if we misuse it.
Or if they think you do.
Yeah, it's getting very cold now. Let's go.
man is decomposing visibly now. Every hour, he looks less like a creature and more like a pile of intestines.
Shoot, Looney Rooney. Oh yes, Kobo mi Lobo. In the gift horse's mouth. Tracts and wakes and waterways. Ancient materials buried. Just a small gulp away, my beloved Kobo. A small gulp away. Because you have. Maybe I was getting my... It's a mishmash, Copabolo. Well, I'm not from Messina, am I? My head... You think I am? You... Do I look like an erotic auto-asphyxiation type to you? Captain...
He didn't choke himself. You know it.
Come back later.
The man is decomposing.
Necromancer pig. That shit was dark. Going in there like that. Oh, brutal shit. Tell me. Kuno dies. You're gonna pick one out of his brain like that too? Kuno's gonna go out in a hail of bullets. Gonna look like a fucking porcupine.
Porta Rosa, a side alley of the Boogie Street spearhead. A young man in his early 20s approaches patrol officer Emile Mullins and asks for a cigarette. As Officer Mullins reaches in his coat pocket for the pack of Astra he just purchased this morning, the man shoots him point blank in his chest. Breathless, the patrol officer collapses in the gutter. His right hand is grabbing the armor on his chest. The bullet didn't pierce it, but he can't breathe. On the pavement, the patter of the perpetrator's feet growing distant. Bleed, pig, someone opens a window and says, but Emile cannot see who. His sight grows dim with pain.
Yeah.
It's not Kuno. It's Kuno S.
Fuck you whispering about?
He's whispering too. He's going with it. But watch what happens.
Fuck you f***ing whispering about!
She puts extra stress onto that word, expecting it will make you uncomfortable.
If Kuno wants to whisper, he's gonna fucking whisper, okay? Let's whisper, pig.
This is it. You've got him. But be careful. You can still fuck this up. Don't make Kuno look bad in this.
Crazy? You don't know the half of it. She's not crazy. She's insane. Dangerous. She's smoked a man. She's done people in. Probably even pigs.
Stop talking to him! Kuno, I'm fucking warning you! You're gonna get us into shit!
She understands what you're trying to do.
Yo, see? Did Kuno not tell ya? Kuno told ya. Kuno talks to whoever he wants. Talk, pig. Kuno's got it under control.
You did it. They're separated. He's even turned his back to her so she can't read his lips.
Yeah, she's psycho. None of that kiddie psycho. Cat burning shit. She does the real deal. Yeah. Yeah, let's. Kuno means she killed someone. That's right, she's a killer. Like, actually a killer.
His little green eyes are fixed on yours. He's meant everything he said before, but right now, He not only means it, he is sincere.
Fucking yeah. Kuno knows you don't want to face this right now. This dark shit. Kuno faces this shit every day. Makes Kuno's skin crawl. She's probably killed a pig too. I mean, I'm pretty sure she has. Forget Kuno said that. Kuno was just shitting. Kuno was just running his mouth. Kuno's stupid like that.
A cop would be too large for her to overpower, but a determined child of her size can still kill the vulnerable, the elderly, the homeless, or other children. The creature peers at you both from over the fence. There is something searching in her eyes. Kuno falls silent. He does not look at you when he replies.
Kuno, that's it. That's what Kuno is starting to think, yeah. Yeah, she would have liked to fuck him up, but she didn't. Kuno wasn't around, and C was with Kuno. Look, Kuno's gonna put you at ease. We didn't do it.
He speaks the truth, my liege.
Fuck knows. She says it's the song of her people, or some shit. Crazy people. The fucking Nakis. I don't know.
Sounds boreal, like something from the tundra and tiger-covered Cutler, Isola. Far, far away from here. As far as possible, really. Sure, interesting things aren't important. Only your...
How's Kuno dealing? Kuno's dealing just fine. He doesn't need you fucking with any of it. C doesn't either. Kuno's got this shit under control. Listen. C is Kuno's go-to. Kuno's protecting her. You fuck with C, you fuck with Kuno. You threaten her. You threaten to take her away.
This is what it all comes down to. He needs you to take him seriously now.
I'm going to kill you. I'll run when you put the cuffs on her, sneak up on you later, and fuck you up. You understand? Alright, now we can do business. Yeah? What do you want? Kuno can hook you up with...
I don't hook him up with shit, Kuno.
See? Relax. He respects the Kuno. Kuno made him respect the Kuno. You respect the Kuno, you get all kinds of shit. Kuno's gonna get you hooked on illegal narcotics if you run a little errand for the Kuno. Get you hooked, pig. Get his hook in you. Then Kuno gonna get you hooking for more. Cash in big style. Pig hooker. And shit, you can even fuck back in Kuno's kingdom. Kuno saw you sniff around that fucking pile of Etonite. It's a secret door, okay? Just pull it off and fuck back in there. Kuno gets it from his dad. Kuno and his dad are major suppliers. That's where Kuno gets his lightning on. Problem is, Kuno and his dad had a little falling out. Now junkies clawing at Kuno's door. Streets going mad. Kuno's got to throw his dirty popo man at it. Dirty popo man is you. In there is Kuno's violent dad on steroids. Kuno's dad does steroids and speed. If you can take him, you can have half of the speed. Kuno's dad is a fucking monster. He's the most violent man in Revachol. He doesn't give a shit about a single thing. He drinks too.
Are you sure you can take on the most violent man in Revachol? In your condition?
Okay, Kuno's listening. Alright, pig. You can plug him, but you can't stop him. It'll only buy you time. Just get in the apartment building. Kuno knows you already fucked your way in. Kuno knows everything. Go to room 12, first floor, and kick down the door. Police violence style. Kuno style. And then it's action time. You're locked in the room with violent fuckheads. That's it. Next time Kuno sees you, you better have his shit. Kuno doesn't fucking care.
The man is decomposing visibly now.
Hello again, officers. Have you come to admire my mural? Ooh, not only have you found my address, you've discovered my biggest secret. I'm a coal miner.
She does have eyes that seem to be smeared with coal.
It doesn't have to do anything at all. Nothing does. Like me. Right now, I'm doing nothing at all.
The inspiration will come to her once hell is set loose on the streets. It's too calm right now.
Shoot, Piggy. It's what you do, isn't it? What for? What do you think I'm trying to paint here? A mural for a better tomorrow? Why do you really need it? Well, if it's for art. But what kind of art are we talking about? Sounds like you're just about to live out your self-pity, not make a statement. I can't have shit art on my conscience. Yeah, not gonna hold my breath, Piggy. You look like you'd suck.
They do say the painter always paints his own portrait.
That's pretty fucked up. Even for you, Piggo. I think everyone would rather you didn't. You're a real sad sack. You know that? Go ahead then. Art it up. Just try not to hurt yourself. And no self-portraits. Oh, but I'm all out of fuel oil.
You know what you should be able to find in your government-issued vehicle? Red-dyed heavy fuel oil. Are you kidding me? Fuel oil is so much cooler. Tremble. The time is now. Ta'ola. Time for the show. For Ta'ola. The hallowed time of fear and disintegration. A countdown has begun. All will collapse on itself. The world will disappear into a single grain of blackness. All sound will be muted. All life will scream. Yes, you spoke the words of the Palindropos and the houses of Pericarnassus. Items, people, even words will tumble. All will lose its meaning in the coming years. That is why you marked yourself. The face of the woman fractures. There will be herd killing, We all... A shabby door hangs oddly on its hinges, secured to the doorframe with a safety chain. An unpaid energy bill is attached, threatening to cut off the electricity. It's addressed to Mr. Uno Doroita. This is not something you should be attempting to do with your bare hands. No response. The apartment numbers have fallen off the door, leaving the panel with a sticky 1 shaped shadow and a marker drawn 2. You'll need to equip the chain cutters to enter. Snip right through the metal. A shabby door hangs oddly on its hinges. Secured, snip. You can just go in now. Bundle of clothes heaped on the bed, a stained parka, some towels and a duvet, some socks even. In the dark, it looks like a nest. Something underneath there is breathing. It's not too late. No one's going to blame you for backing out. You don't have to do this. Just get out. Your hand touches a greasy duvet covered in cigarette burns and ketchup stains. You hear a growl. There is something alive underneath it. It's deep in suffering somehow. You see a 60-year-old, fat, red-headed man passed out from large amounts of alcohol, and God knows what else. The smell of shit rises from his mouth. You don't have to take him down. He's already down. The light from the window is weak, but it seems like he is. His wild, unwashed mane bears a familiar ginger tone. Even the hair on his chest is coppery. Don't forget his face, the bloated and reddened cheeks, the bulbous nose. This would be Kuno after 30 years of alcohol and substance abuse. No response. A pair of half-open bug eyes is staring back at you from the dark, empty and frozen. It's clear that the person behind them is not awake.
Fucking hell.
The man groans once again, but his tongue keeps failing him. It's impossible to make out the syllables. A hand emerges from the blankets. And then it dawns upon you, clear and surreal. Pig, he says. He's trying to call you a pig. His hand falls back on the bed, limp and defeated. A loud snore escapes his mouth. He's asleep again. A phone book lies open on the table, covering a stack of utility bills. Right next to it, in plain sight, sits a small bottle of amphetamine, conveniently equipped with a straw. You pocket the bottle as if it were the most natural thing in the world.